and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, episode 482. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host, and with a bit of luck, you're watching us live, and if you're not, that's fine, watch us later. You can do whatever you want. You're a human being and you live on this planet. I have eaten plenty of chocolate peanuts, and I am ready to go. Am I not, Chris Hyde?
Just to be clear, chocolate peanuts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
Is there a
wanted to
problem
check.
with that?
No, I just thought for a brief second there you said chocolate something else.
What? What would I have said that was not... that sounded like peanuts?
Big chocolate cock.
A big...
Hi, Lyle.
I wonder
Hi.
who that is.
Hello, Lyle. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. I'm glad you've enjoyed your chocolate peanuts.
Oh, they're lovely, mate. They're just a treat, you know? They're a treat. They were...
I think chocolate peanuts are underrated, I think.
Oh, definitely. I really
How
like them.
simple they are, I think they're often overlooked, and you never eat them and go, these are horrible. You eat them and go, these are actually all right. Like, I feel like you always feel like they're all right.
I should stop. Like, I should stop
Yeah,
doing
because you
this
just
now.
end up canning them, I think.
I mean, you know, they're not exciting, but they're pretty good, aren't they?
They are. I mean,
they
there are
exist.
definitely some foods I prefer, sort of more egg-based things, obviously.
Let's
but
not do that. Let's not start this off explosively. Oh, you crack me up. You really do. You really do.
Geez, okay.
But let's look. Like, come on now. Let's hatch a plan and do some sort of podcast here because
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
kind of
put
done
it
with the
all out
yolks
and
here.
shout.
I'm a lot. Fuck. I'm not. I can't swear it. I'm letting this slide. I'm not letting this slide.
Oh
I'm
my god!
Oh,
Oh man, I've got so many of these. Listen, it's time to talk
Is that
about.
what you say your
mate,
afternoon?
mate,
Is
I
that
have-
what you've been doing?
Yes. Do you really want me to be honest? Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yes. I have literally got. Let's have a look. Let's see if you can spot them. I mean, there's at least 9 more on my list on this Google Doc. I'm not even looking at the podcast doc. Don't worry about that. I'm ecstatic about this.
poor Chris
Anyway.
Hyde can't quiche a break.
No, oh no,
Oh,
don't take
my
that one
goodness.
because I was going to say, of course you do. Of course you do. Of course. It won't make any sense that why we're making egg-based punnery unless you're a Patreon. So this is a great time to say get a patreon.com/godisageek. Join up for £1 or $1 or whatever your currency is converted to that, and you can find out probably in the past why we're all talking about eggs. But let's talk about video games because that is kind of why we're here. I mean, we're here to just be sexy on camera as well, but like video games. Lyle, let's start with you, mate. You have been playing Pokemon, right?
Well, sort of. Yeah, definitely. It's the important thing to say is that Coromon is not just Pokemon. It's mainly
Now,
Pokemon.
Look, don't exaggerate.
Yeah. So
What an afternoon
Coromon.
I've had. Yes. So it I don't know if the developer ever sold it this way, or it's just sort of become this. It sort of seems to become in the Pokemon community this game that is like the old Pokemon games if they were made new with the quality of life stuff that the kind of Pokemon company won't do. Now, I don't know if they've ever said that they're doing that, but
Yeah.
that's what it's supposed to be, isn't it? Like,
I mean, yeah,
whether
that's basically sort of that's how I see it. I see it as being like it's for the people who have played Pokemon, like probably played Pokemon for the first sort of few sets of games and then kind of started to get turned off. And I do think that for someone like that, Coromon is a really good game. It's like in terms of like the gameplay, it's, you know, you have 6 Coromon. They all have like 4 moves each. They have elemental types, status effects, all that sort of stuff. So it's everything that you would expect from Pokemon in terms of, you know, the gameplay, the battling. But outside of that, you've kind of got, whereas Pokemon nowadays has obviously gone full 3D, you've got like nice little sprites in Coromon. It's like,
well,
fully...
you say that. I still think they'll go back.
Yeah, I mean,
When
kinda
I
think
don't
they
know,
should.
but I do think it would be extreme if they never went back.
It would. It would.
The thing is, it only works if you
Absolutely.
don't
I
laugh
think
at
they'll
them all.
do like, you know how like Capcom have done with like Street Fighter, where they just every now and then they just go, let's just go back to what it used to be, and then just swing it back round for a few games, and then they come back to like.
I think they've got. I mean, let's face it, right? Whether it comes to Pokemon games like the Pikachu movie, the cards, the anime, what they do what they want, and they'll make
Yeah.
trillions. So I would imagine it kind of a little bit reminds me a bit of the kind of everyone goes on about the Switch and the Switch 2, and it's a bit like that in that Nintendo could do that, but they'll only do that if they think at the time it makes financial sense or they need a boost. And I think Pokemon are the same. Like because didn't Legends, wasn't it like one of the biggest sellers or something like that?
Yeah, it did really well, didn't it?
So I feel like Coromon is whether they would outright say this is why we're doing this. I mean, it's hard because like how do you describe this game without just basically describing Pokemon? And like they are filling a gap, right? They are filling because these games don't get made. Certainly not with the style. The aesthetic is like old Pokemon games, but in color, isn't it? Well,
yeah. So yeah, it's like there are some things because I do think the quality of life things are kind of a big part of what sets this apart from, especially from the older Pokemon games. Like you've got things like you've got fast travel from the very start. You've got they're called milestones, which are basically like sort of like a big, almost like an achievement list where it's like if you've had once you've done like every 5 battles you'll get 20 experience, and every time you do this it sort of fills up a leveling up that's almost like a battle pass, and every time it levels up you get like a couple of like deluxe Pokeballs or a couple of good potions and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool little like loop to sort of make sure that you do things like say if you catch like 60 Coromon, that'll be one of the ones that gives you a lot of XP. You might go up a couple of levels on the battle pass and stuff like that. Well, I say battle pass. It's not what it is, but but functionally.
Yeah.
And then you've got stuff like the powers that you get in your gauntlet. So you use a gauntlet to do things with the Coromon to catch them and stuff. And that has sort of like that has like different powers, like pushing logs and pushing boulders, and like they're all sort of the moves that you'd maybe do in a Pokemon game, but
yeah.
Once again, not taking up move slots and stuff like that. It is hard because like I do know the one thing that they do that's far and away better than any Pokemon game or any game in any monster catching type of thing.
Even Snap.
That's not a monster catching game. That's a photography game.
You're gonna whisk it. Are you seriously gonna whisk it, saying something that is better than in Monster Hunter games with Chris here?
I am. So the thing they do better than any of those games is that they have amazing difficulty options. They have so many options you can choose from to tailor the game to be exactly how you want to play it. So you can. So I was playing initially just on the standard medium difficulty, and a lot of the areas are really quite lengthy, and like it's one of the issues with the game, which I might get onto in a moment. But like you'll be stuck in a forest for fucking ages, basically, and you won't you'll just burn through all your potions, or you'll just backtrack all the time. So I changed one of the settings, which was every time one of your Coromon level up, they like fully heal as they do it. So it's just like it's one of the sort of difficulty settings that you can use. But
it's funny you say that. That's one of my JRPG annoyances. Is like I think I've said this before, so apologies to long-time listeners. But when in a JRPG, in any RPG, I feel like when you level, when you ping, you should get all your health comes back, your level, everything's back. Even if you're in the middle of a fight, which like Chris says, we'll come to that. But like there are games still that don't do that. So I love that. That's something you could, In fact, I think Pokemon. Oh, do you know what? Legends, I don't think does that. Does it? Or does it?
I can't remember now.
Bloody remember now. It's definitely a game I've played this year. When you don't get that. Yeah. Okay. It might be Legends then.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, and like. To be honest, a lot of things that I really liked about Coromon when I previewed it last year ended up being in Legends. So, like, things like you can just turn your moves on and off instead of overwriting them. You just sort of get a menu and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
As well as the sort of easier difficulty options as well. They also have like a built-in, like if you know what a Nuzlocke run is in Pokemon. So, like when your Pokemon die, you sort of release them basically, and you can't use them again. So you can sort of do that built-in. It's
kind of like
very cool.
Like Pokemon. Almost.
Yeah, totally. That's that sort of thing. Yeah. But the main issues come in the sort of outside of battle moments. Really, like there are I guess you'd almost call them dungeons, like caves and things like that you'd explore.
Mm.
They're always really long, and they're always longer than they should be, and they usually have sort of mechanics that are really annoying. Like there was a dark cave that I did get stuck in for legitimately a whole hour, not understanding how to get out of it and find the right way.
Blimey.
And it was such a labyrinth, and it was just terrible. There's a sort of a power station building, and it has like conveyor belt floors that like sort of ping you all about in different directions, and you have to you step on the arrows, and it takes you different places, and like card key puzzles, and it just feels like all of them take at least twice as long as you'd really like them to. And when there's random encounters happening at the same time as well, it's like it gets pretty exhausting. And it gets a little bit better as it goes on, although in the middle of the game there's also a stealth section, which I really didn't appreciate. It's just like they kind of, every time you go to a new area, something like there's some sort of new mechanic to how you're wandering about and how you're like getting from A to B. And like, you're not just like, obviously you're having your Coromon battles as you go, but like they're constantly throwing some new stuff at you. Like there's a desert where the sand burns your feet, so you have to rush from point A to point B and stuff. But like they do it so often and for so long that like eventually you're just like, I actually kind of just want to like fight my little monsters with each other. Like I don't really want many almost distractions, if you know what I mean.
See, that's one kind of quality of life thing I think that Legends, for example, did well. Like, is that I don't want to go back to running around in grass for battles or like late game legendary hunting, whatever the equivalent is in Coromon. I don't want to go back to that. Like I've seen obviously the footage you've sent. I think this is, you do run around in the grass, don't you, for battles in this?
You do, yeah.
So I just don't want to go back to that. I really like in Legends. I think if you were to say what is the favourite thing for me about that game, it's that I can literally go, there's the Pokemon I want, I'm going to go and engage in that. And I don't want to go back to sort of running around in circles in a sort of pixely grass. And that's there's 100% a market for this. Like 100% a market for Coromon.
And I would say that I am in that market probably more than you in terms of like, there are definitely aspects of Legends that I wasn't anywhere near as big a fan of as you are. And like, I preferred some of the traditional sort of more Pokemonish elements. And it's a little bit of a shame that there are just a few too many annoyances and frustrations in Coromon that it doesn't quite fill that need really, and of what I would exactly want. I mean, it's still a good game, and I think fans will enjoy it. But
do you remember years ago? Like I think was it the Just Cause 2 developer hired people from the modding community because I think correct me if I'm, apologies if I'm not getting this quite right, but I think the modding community added multiplayer to Just Cause 2, and so they were like, would you like to come and work for us? Because this is awesome. And it's almost, it's making me think almost like Game Freak. I mean, not that you should just go and absorb a company, but like if they kind of smush them together, you'd almost have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. If you exactly combined Pokemon Legends with Coromon, it would be like my perfect game.
But also, like, the thing about Coromon I've noticed is that nobody seems to know it exists.
Yeah.
Like, nobody seems to know it exists. And I thought, so just at the time of recording, I think it was a couple of days ago, they announced the delay to the Switch version.
Yeah.
I actually thought the Switch version would help it massively, because, I mean, of course it would. But also I thought maybe even the news of it might make people go, oh, that looks cool. Okay, well, I can't play it yet, but that's cool. Now it's on. It just doesn't seem to... And I know it's been like a crazy year for video games, but it just does not seem to be punching through at all. And I hope that doesn't sort of get them down. Do you know what I mean? I hope, because if I read your review obviously and saw the score at the end of it, which is a big one, not like a massive one, but it's a good score. And that's a good game worth playing. Like, definitely worth playing. It's not exceptional, but it's decent. And, well, it's very good. And it was an 8, wasn't it, actually?
It was an 8, yeah.
Sorry, I edited other reviews today that I shouldn't say what score they were, because in case they're embargoed. But I have. And that's worth playing. That's a game worth playing. But I just feel like nobody knows it exists. It's really, really odd.
It is. It's tricky. I suppose, I mean, it does just happen in general anyway. But like, it's been a busy year. There has been a Pokemon game, and there's going to be another Pokemon game this year.
I keep forgetting that Legends was this year because in my head it was supposed to be last year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Man. There is another game you've been playing. Again, at the time of recording, it's literally just gone up the preview, called Soundfall, which sorry, as I've just looked out my window and seen it's snowing for some reason. There's, been a bit of a weird day in the United Kingdom.
Been a weird day.
Listening from outside of it. Talk to us about Soundfall while I see if I can hopefully make the video play for people, because this game looks really interesting.
Soundfall really surprised me. I got to preview like the first world, and I love Soundfall. Soundfall is it's a rhythm game, but it's a rhythm sort of twin stick shooter.
Like you're speaking my language like straight away now.
Yeah. I mean, those words together keep going, because it's like, I mean, I'm looking at it as well. Like, it looks...
Totally. So like the way it works is you're obviously pointing your gun wherever you want and you're moving, and then there's a sort of a beat bar at the bottom of the screen that's like,
I didn't even spot that. Yeah, I'm watching it as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and there's there's a song in the background, and every action the aim is to do it to the beat. So, and if you fire a gun and it's to the beat, it does like way more damage. It might fire more bullets.
Are you firing the gun, or is this auto? Okay,
no.
Do you know what it looked a little bit like? Sometimes when you're firing, it reminds me a bit of Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah.
That kind of, where it's just pulsing away to the beat almost.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing, but
because obviously in that game it was more like it punished you if you were offbeat.
Yeah.
Whereas is this more like it rewards you if you're on beat rather than punishes you if you're off?
It is more so, yeah. If you're offbeat all the time, eventually I think your gun overheats, so that's sort of the punish. And your dodge, if you dodge to the beat, it has like invincibility frames, whereas if you don't, it doesn't.
That's how you're getting through them beams, because you're dodging.
So if you dash to the beat, you dodge through things, and that's how it works. And alongside that as well, it's a loot game.
Oh my god!
So you find guns, like different guns as you go. Power keeps going up. At the end of the level, you're rewarded by like a chest that has guns based on how well you did to the beat. And then between levels, you'll switch. You might want a shotgun. You might want to upgrade your sword. They all have really cool different abilities as well. So like I had armor pretty early on that I think I just got really lucky rolling, where you can do 2 dashes in a row, whereas normally you'd have to do a dash as a beat and then wait before you do another one. So you could sort of chain dodging together. I found some loot that was health absorbing and stuff like that. So it has all the nice modifiers as well. And the music's also great, by the way.
I was going to ask that, because that's kind of important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So it's it's really
original. Is it original music, or is it licensed?
Well, it's not music I know. I think it's original music. I can't. I'm pretty certain.
To Google this, because it looks like the name of the song and artist are on screen.
They do come up.
If people are watching the video version, it looks like whatever this bit of the gameplay is Walk Straight Wild Sun. So I'm going to Google Wild Sun and see what comes up.
That's one of the good songs.
It's a musical artist, so that R&B.
Yeah.
Soul.
So there's a bit of everything in there as well. Like there's some quite poppy music on one of the early levels. One of the later levels had an almost medieval town sort of jaunty tune that was just fully instrumental that I totally wasn't expecting but really enjoyed. Alongside all this as well. So this is all the basic stuff, but I didn't get to cover the other features that are coming when it fully releases. There's going to be online co-op for 4 people. So
Jesus Christ.
So we'll get to all do that. I'll force you all to do that. I don't know if I'll have to force you that much, really.
Loot, co-op, rhythm game, twin stick shooter.
Yeah.
Anything else? Can we go for a full handful?
I've got number 5 for you, okay?
Oh my god. Okay.
The game generates levels based on your own music on your PC, so you can play any song you want, and it makes a custom level with different genres of music, have different environments. The team, when I spoke to them, because I had a sort of a discussion with them before I got access to the demo. They've been trying it with audio books, and it works. It's I imagine it's really stupid.
Hang on, are you suggesting that people could play this listening to our podcast?
I actually do think they could.
I was going to
Well,
say, like, you could
December
play
just got
listen to your
interesting.
own music. That'd be amazing.
Imagine
Yeah.
listening
You
to
create.
Game of the Year, God is a Geek's Game of the Year 2022, while playing this with the God is a Geek Game of the Year podcast in the game, literally talking about this game, the
Yep.
meta commentary.
And imagine doing that with the team. Maybe we'll play with you while you play the God is a Geek podcast.
I mean, imagine if the podcast theme tune makes the best level ever in this game. Like, just imagine that. Yeah.
I can't get over the footage. Obviously, I haven't played it, but the footage, the difference in kind of the colours in the different levels. Like, this looks great. This looks so up my street.
Is it from in a preview sense? What you've played? Is it very responsive?
It's very responsive.
Like, you don't ever sit there go, I hit that beat and it told me I didn't.
No, that never happened. It was.
But you were
perfectly
playing
responsive.
on PC, I'm guessing.
I was, yeah.
So a lot of that kind of latency will come in when you're playing on a console and a television set that's not designed.
Yeah,
they do. I guess they do. I mean, when you're playing like Cadence of Firewall or something like that, like you do latency tests at the start, don't you, to try and combat that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how they get around it. But
I mean, this looks genuinely.
I'm well up for that. Like, that looks really good.
I am honestly, of all the games I've previewed in quite a long time, this is the one where I'm like, I wish I could play further now. I wish if I could keep playing this now, I would. And I don't know if I've had that very often with a preview game before, where I've just been like, I don't want to play other games. I want to play more of it. But
What's interesting is like the publisher Noodle Cake.
yeah,
Like the last game I remember, I think they put out was Nuts, wasn't it? It was that game where you play as like a sort of surveillance game for squirrels, and like I don't think it did very well. I want to say I remember reading reviews of that. I thought stylistically, I thought that looks really cool. I'm just trying to find out if the developers sort of done much before.
they are. I know the developers were working with Epic. They left Epic. They were working on like Fortnite and things like that, and they just moved across, wanted to do their own thing, and they found a really cool, interesting, unique idea that. Yeah, I really love it.
Do you know what? I've got a sick thing. I've just found out. I've discovered a sick thing looking at the Steam page. Okay, huh? Sick thing. You know when you go to Steam and it's got like it's got user reviews, the developer, the publisher, and then it's got the release date. Instead of got the release date, instead of having a release date, they've just put once the volume hits 11. Like, I am massively into this, Lyle, and I genuinely appreciate that you going to play it because I don't. Again, the time of year, the amount of games, it's one of those I don't think it would have punched through otherwise.
Do we know when it's planned to be launched?
Well, once it hits 10.
Once
11,
it hits
sorry.
11, yeah.
The 11, yeah.
They haven't even got like summer or anything written in there.
No, that's all they've got. I mean, from what I played, it didn't feel like there was like lots to do. If you know
they're
what I
letting
mean.
you play it now, it can't be years off.
It can't be years away.
It's got to be sort of. Do we know? Is it just PC? Do we know? Have they announced?
It is going to be on consoles as well, but I do know that on console you can't do the custom music. That's only on the PC version, which makes sense.
It does look really, really cool. Yeah, shit, huh? The kind of holy trinity twice almost there. You went through of things that make me and Chris both go, huh? Thud underneath the table, huh?
I said in more ways than one.
Yeah, so I mean a thud underneath the table.
Yeah,
just okay, let's move towards Mr. Hyde then. What have you been up to? As if I don't know because I haven't spent every minute playing it with you.
I was going to say, yeah. So Adam and I have been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So if you checked out last week's podcast, you'll have heard Mick talking about it because he reviewed the game for the site. And then me and Adam have been playing it in the last week. And it's really interesting coming off the back of Soundfall, which is a completely different game. But like hearing like Lyle describe it, it makes me excited and makes me smile and makes me like really happy. And then I think a lot of those things when you were describing that made me I want to play it. Like is how I feel when I play and when I think about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands actually, because it's. I mean, look, Mick said it last week. It's very Borderlandsy in style, like first and foremost. But quite frankly, I've always kind of liked Borderlands' style. I think its humor, it knows its own humor, it knows its lane. That it's comedic style and it sticks to it. And if anything, it doubles or triples down on it in this game. This is very much Borderlands meets Dungeons and Dragons, and it doesn't care that that, and it will keep ramming it down your throat, but not in a. There's never been any moment, and I'm trying to think of a moment. You back me up on this. I don't think I've ever, whilst playing it, gone, "Oh, for goodness sake, just shut up!" Like I don't find myself.
There's one. This is gonna be like the most sort of horrible whinge, really. There's one thing that I can say. There's a spell in the game where you throw out like a skull, and it absorbs the health of an enemy. And it's kind of the big bad of the game. You're like summoning his soul, and he's like annoyed that you've done that. And there's a couple of lines. There's just not enough lines recorded for that. Because in this game you are in combat using everything all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean that's
that
fair.
is the
There's
most
a couple of
tiniest
things. I think he says something like, "You're just taking pot shots" or something like that.
Or why did you summon me to not use me? Or where did you even get this spell? Like they've done a few of them, but I think all they need to do actually is just turn down the frequency. It's not even a case of you need 6 more lines because of how often I use this. It just needs to be dialed
don't
way
have to line
down
it every time.
Yeah,
I have to say, I laughed when it probably said it about 10 times before I noticed it.
Well, that's the thing. I'd used that spell before you'd got it.
Yeah.
So I had heard all that and got to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, they needed to dial this back. And then you got that spell, and it's like, oh wow, now I'm hearing it again. Yeah. But but this is that is such a small complaint. But I don't. Yeah. Because that's not really a fair answer to your question either. Because you're talking, I think, more about the comedy stylings, so to speak.
Yeah. Not just the sound bites, the spells or anything.
You either like this or you don't. There's no in the middle. It is Marmite. I like it, and also you asking me is like, I kind of have always been unapologetic about the fact I really like Borderlands. Like I know. Same. I find it more difficult now because there are things about the studio, like and like Randy himself, that I find a little bit difficult to pass, if you will. But as a video game, it just listen. I've been on this podcast and we've talked about games in like a incredibly passionate way before, and like they're the most important things in the world, and they, to people who like it's some of our living, and sometimes they can just be silly and fun.
Yeah,
and this game knows it's silly and fun.
Yeah,
and
the important thing is it is silly and fun. It's not just silly, and it's not like. The point I was making before when I handed it over to you was like, for me, it's silly, but it is funny with it. Like it doesn't.
Yes.
It knows what it is. It's very self-aware, and it takes the piss out. It's quite self-deprecating. It doesn't care.
Do you know another way I would actually describe it as well? To not to just nick it off you a little bit, but both of you know who Tim Key is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So comedian, very pun based, very sharp, by the way. Like I don't think he's given anywhere near. Huh?
Good beard.
I think you're thinking of a different Tim. I think you're thinking of Tim Minchin.
No, hang on, let me.
Tim Key, good beard.
Maybe I'm.
You're thinking of Tim Minchin plays piano. I think. I think he's New Zealand based.
No, Tim Key's got a beard.
Has he?
Carry on.
Anyway, very fast, pun based, like really.
Yes, yeah.
I'm thinking of not Tim Key. Sorry, Tim Vine.
Tim Vine's definitely not got a beard.
Sorry, Tim Vine hasn't got a beard. Like no,
yeah, he's the one
Tim
with
Vine,
the really quick,
but like he doesn't go on stage and shout and swear. Like he's not going to say "oh fuck off" on stage. He's not. It's not his shtick. His shtick is to be quite family friendly, but he is. I've seen him. He's so quick. Like it is back. He's like bang. And most comedians are, to be fair. I think if you could not stand him, I think you also probably could not stand Borderlands because it's quite pun based.
Oh, no,
but I dig it.
It is.
Tim Key,
I mean, if you do not like puns, stay away from this game. Like I remember saying to you when we're doing a tutorial, and even when you create your character, right, and you choose all the different things, and there's even puns for the names of the hairstyles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like every single one of them was a pun or a play on words, and it's just like I was just going through and going. I mean, obviously, I ended up picking the one that I liked the most. I was like, they didn't have to bother with any of that, but they've spent time because it's part of what this whole experience and this whole game is. It is the silly play on words and it's unapologetically so, or the kind of finger pointing at the genre, or the things that you just accept, like the big bad boss just starts speaking
funny.
and then gets like,
I hate to say it is actually funny. That's really important.
I was about to make a point about being interrupted during a monologue, and you interrupted me, which was quite brilliant. Like, but like, you know, at the start of in the prologue, in the training tutorial, like, you know, in movies where the big bad guy has this monologue, and you just listen to it, and they just cut into him, and he was like, "Hey, I was talking," kind of thing, and it's just you're right. It's just there's so many little jokes or plays on words and things. You know, we saw something. I won't spoil exactly what it was about, but like, I'll just say blue things. What we were experiencing last night. And we were just
I feel I shouldn't laugh. I feel like that should. I feel like as a 40-year-old man, like I should actually be past laughing at that level of humor. But like, it really tickled me. Like, it really tickled me. But I am a very silly 40-year-old man. That's worth noting.
But I think why I enjoy playing co-op. I like playing on my own as well. Like, I'll if you're not around, I will still play a bit of it.
You probably would play for less.
Dip in and out of.
Yeah, you probably play half an hour instead of an hour and a half, I think.
Exactly.
That's what I do. Like, you do a mission.
But like, I find it's better with people because there is you're laughing together at things, and that is just funnier. Like when things are happening. But it's. I mean, Mick explained a lot about what the game is last week, so I'm not going to go over that. But I will.
No, if you've seen or heard of Borderlands, if
you don't like Borderlands, you don't like that style, you don't like the visuals or any of that, this is not going to, I don't think, change your mind, because a lot of it's the same. Yeah. Although I will say, I do think, like Mick mentioned it last week about they've changed grenades into spells. For me, that's a little bit harsh on the spells. There's a lot of variation here.
There is.
There's a lot more customization around builds from what I've played so far than there is in. There is some of that in the Borderlands.
Yeah, it's not like here's a fire grenade, an acid grenade, a lightning grenade. No, it's not. It's still on your L1, but they are very different. I mean, yes, they ultimately serve the same purpose. It's an additional form of damage while you're like, I often use it as a start of a fight, or when I'm reloading, just something, you know, if it's something to get out. But like, no, I think they're not just grenades.
But yeah, it's not. Cause, like, I've literally, I obviously at the start, what you do is you go with the strongest ones that you've got. And then you find yourself getting attached to certain things, and then after you left yesterday, before, whenever it was, I just put this new spell on that was even stronger, and I was like, "Oh no, this could change my build completely."
Yeah, because you start.
If I start thinking, there's very much the leveling up and the skills and the things you can put points into very much allow you to do specific builds towards specific playstyles, which I think is really neat. And there's so much to it as well. There's so much, like, we've got to the point now where we're taking on optional side quests and stuff, and you could just find yourself spending so many hours on it. But I just have so much fun when I'm doing it.
I think it's smart as well. Like, I think it does a lot of smart stuff. What you said, it wouldn't change your mind if you didn't like it. And
it's It's. I hesitated when I said it because Mick said it last week. I feel like if you're on the fence, this has got the best chance of convincing you.
What I would also say is if you have... So I mean, Borderlands 1 and 2, like one of them I think I got 100% of the achievements or trophies or whatever. Might be the first one. The second one, I always find it really confusing, right? Because for me, the second one was everything that the first one did, bigger, better, everything. It was like it was the Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed. It was like, this is a really cool idea. Oh, and now they've nailed it. And yet that was when the worm turned, and all of a sudden it was cool to shit on Borderlands.
Yeah.
Borderlands 3 was a good game as well, but it did to me because I played. It's the Bethesda thing of there are a lot of their games feel quite similar, and therefore for me there's like almost a breaking point where it's like I need a little bit of a break from this style of game. And I think everyone can have that. Like, some people get that with open world games. I don't, because I either just love them or bounce off them. Like, you know, Immortals, I loved. Horizon, I loved. Elden Ring. These are the games, you know, whereas others I will bounce off of. With Borderlands, the third one was just like, it was that thing for me. It was like, this is just I like what they've done. I like the additions, but outside of them, when you get into it, there's not quite enough. It's still Borderlands.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this now is that game where there's been enough space for me between almost overdosing on Borderlands and coming back to it, and I feel like I'm coming back to it as a veteran almost, but it also feels kind of fresh because the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, it really works for me. Like, I'm not normally into that kind of. I'm not normally
you're not.
Futurism and stuff, and I'm not really a medieval fan. I like the Dragon Age games and that, but the thing that I can never get really into them about them is because they're not Mass Effect. It's the other end. Yeah. There's it's one or the other for me. I really do like it. I really like. I think Mick mentioned Claptrap's there. Like, again, you either love them or you hate him, but I particularly love, and I think it's not the original voice actor now, but I do love what they've done with him in this universe and his voice, the way it's changed. I like it. I just like when Mick reviewed it. He told me like, I think I'm going to give this a 9, by the way, and it almost felt like he was like giving me a warning, as if to say, we're probably going to get shit for this because you know what it's like with Borderlands. Do you know what I mean? And now I've played it, I'm like, yeah, but I totally get it. I totally get it. Like, I probably would have done the same. Like, but also, like, I don't know. It's one of those games where it makes me wonder what people want from video games. Because, like, I get it. If you just don't like this kind of game, that's cool. That's no problem in that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, especially for someone myself who's a bit older, like, when you started playing games, there was much story to go on. So it was kind of like how to really boil it down. It was like, how much fun is this? It's not fun. I'm not going to play it. That was the choice when I was growing up. There wasn't. When I got to be a young teenager, you started to get your Final Fantasy stuff, and you know what I mean. And it became there was more variance here, and now you've got all the choice in the world, and that's fantastic. But I'm glad this game exists. I was thinking is what I'm saying. I'm glad that the Last of Us 2, which I always say because it's just so dark and story heavy. I'm glad that can exist in the same medium as Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, in the same way that like a Jackass movie can exist next to Shawshank Redemption. Do you know what I mean? It's great for me to see video games have or are evolving to that form where we have all this different stuff, and if you don't like that one, how about this one? And I love that.
But also, just to go a step further, I'd say I like the fact that I can experience both of those things. So it's not like I only like, don't think exactly what you're saying, but like I only like the Last of Us 2 style games. So it's good that there's some of those in existence. But for other people, they can enjoy this. I like the fact that I can have a bit of light and shade. Like, it's not every game doesn't have to be Elden Ring this year. Like, we were saying that, Well,
people talked about Kirby as that, and this is a good way to link into it. I was playing Kirby, obviously, at the time Elden Ring. What I think I was. I think I was reviewing. I think I first got hold of Kirby when Elden Ring. I can't really remember, truth be told. It's a lot's gone on in the last couple of weeks and months. But I saw people talking about Kirby as the kind of antithesis to Elden Ring. Actually, for me, Borderlands feels more like that.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And I reviewed Kirby and I loved it. But there was no part of me playing this going, oh God, it's so nice to play this after playing Elden Ring. But Borderlands, I do kind of feel like that is, to me, the antithesis of Elden Ring. It's
the game right now more than anything that is stopping me from going back to Elden Ring. And I will go back to Elden Ring because I absolutely adore that game. To be really clear, before anyone starts saying, well, Chris is saying that Tiny Tina is better than Elden Ring, Lyle. I'm not saying that.
Well,
I'm saying that right now,
Elden Ring was better than Breath of the Wild a few weeks ago.
You did say that.
Now you're saying Tiny Tina's
apparently I just drop bombs every time. But it is, like I say, it is the fact that there are different games like that, and you can enjoy it. And it's great. And I would say if anyone is thinking it could be up my street, it probably is, and it's a laugh. And come and play it with us.
Just in case Mick didn't mention it. Just in case Mick did mention it last week, because I can't remember. Co-op, cross-save, cross-platform. You can use your Shift account if you have got one of those free. If not, to do that also, you can play, I think, 4-player co-op. I want to say 4-player co-op. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. I'm not sure about cross-generation, but you can definitely play cross-platform. And you can also, a bit like Ubisoft do, like you can download your save from the cloud if you're playing on PC, blah, blah, blah. And also, that's all. I just want to make sure people know that.
And key point, if you do a quest with someone and you haven't done it in your world, it carries over. So not only do you get all the loot, you don't have to go through that quest again. Yep. Obviously, if I do a quest and then I go into Adam's world and he hasn't done it yet, I'll do it twice.
Yeah,
but
I can still do it.
Way round, he doesn't have to do it again.
Yep.
So
and that is a small thing, but
it's great. It is really good because it means it doesn't matter whose world you're going in, really.
Yes.
Like
it's basically who's furthest behind. You just go to their world, really.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
But talk to us about Kirby though, because you haven't had a chance to talk about Kirby.
Yeah.
And I feel like that game's getting a little bit lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm not on social media, but I don't feel like there's a lot of chat about Kirby.
No, there's a bit, but there isn't as much as you'd normally maybe expect from a kind of, I guess, a big Nintendo first-party game.
It's not extravagant like some games in Nintendo, is it?
And listen, I'm probably going to sound quite negative about this game, but I'm not, in the sense that I want to be really clear. I still think this game is a really good game. I don't quite think I like it as much as you do.
Wow.
And that's probably why I'll sound negative, because I'm kind of countering all the good stuff you've said about it, just to be really clear.
Oh, picking apart my review. Okay, this is going to be fun.
What's that? Yeah. So and I'll also be really transparent. I haven't quite finished the game yet, but I'm going off the fact that in your review, you said it kind of runs out of ideas towards the end. I've probably going to take from that, if I'm in where I'm at in the game, I've probably seen a lot of what it's got to offer. But caveat, because if there's a massive 3 twists that I haven't seen, then I might change my mind. But from what I've based on what I've played, the first sort of, I'm on world 5, so that's where I'm at. So I think this game is really good. What you said in your review, particularly about the stuff where it kind of feels like it runs out of ideas towards the end. I feel it runs out of ideas about halfway through. And I think that's why I found it towards the end a bit more of a passive experience than I was perhaps hoping. Because when I played those first couple of levels, in World 1 and the prologue, I was like, for me, this is up there with Odyssey, Astro's Playroom. I was like, let's go. I am all in for this. There's loads of new ideas. I'm loving this. The music looks great. It's like I say, it's cute. It's just fun. It's joyful. It's just Nintendo. It's like, right, and it's also good at what it's doing, because, like I say, Astro and Odyssey, like that's up there in terms of platforming benchmarks, right? So I was like, this could be something mighty special, and then as levels have gone on, it's not that they've been disappointing. It's just I feel like the really good ideas feel like they're quite early on in the game. Like
it's definitely front loaded in terms of mouthful stuff, for example.
So the big thing is the mouthful stuff, right? Because the ability stuff has been in Kirby games before. So the mouthful
there
stuff,
are new ones, but it's not a new idea overall.
But like the mouthful stuff, I feel like 2 of the best ones are in the very, like the car. I like the cone as well.
Cone's good.
The cone's good. I can't remember how early on the vending machine is. I thought that's quite good.
Second or third level.
Second or third level. And then the only other one that I can kind of remember and think, oh, I'm looking forward to this, is the ring.
Yeah,
because I feel like
that was my favourite one.
Yeah, that's quite clever in the kind of variation of how you use it. Whereas then some of them are just literally like a way to get to a Waddle Dee. And I don't they're almost solving a problem that's been created.
I think you've forgotten a couple of them.
I'm sure
recur,
I have.
And but they do recur quite late on again. So you'll be like, I forgot about that one. There's some of them they actually don't use enough. That's what I said. I forget if I said it in the review or the pod. Like, I do actually think there's some really cool ideas that are used sparingly, almost too sparingly.
Yeah. I guess, which would be fine if they were replaced with new ideas. I think that's, for me, that's the problem. I feel like, I'm playing it, and like I say, World 1 I really loved. World 2 I liked a lot as well. Like I say, there was a couple of new mouthful moves, and World 2 just looks lovely as well with all the water and stuff. Like, it's really good. And like I said, I think it was about sort of like World 3. I was like, come on, impress me again. Show me the next hand that you've got. And I just felt like don't get me wrong, like the levels are individually well designed. The themes of the worlds are nice and unique. It's not that it's bad. I just had this benchmark, like I say, of Astro and Odyssey at World 1, and I was like, come on. and it just felt like it kind of ran out of steam a bit too quickly. Because if it had carried on, I think I'd be in World 5 going, this is really special. But it like you say, I think it's front loaded, and it really feels like that towards the end, because even some of the ways in which you'll get the Waddle Dees, a few of them repeat, and a lot of the mini bosses repeat, and I just think, I don't know, it's not a very long game, but it does feel like there's repetition in there.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I would just say keep playing. That's all I would say. And I know that's the shittiest.
Through, but
well, this is the thing. It's the shittiest get out to say. I know something you don't know. Keep playing. But keep playing is what I would say. Is like there's stuff. There's stuff. Like that's
okay. Well, like I say, it's a opinion in progress.
I don't think you're going to drastically change your mind on those things. I will say, but there is. I think maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it sounds to me like you're saying it's become a little bit passive and you're just gliding through it. I think the thing you're looking for there is not far out of your reach. Keep playing, if that makes sense. And I know it's vague, but it's not been out that long.
I'm more than happy to come back next week and go, you were right, Mr. Cook.
No, I don't know that you would do that. I don't know that you're going to suddenly go, oh no, it's amazing. But I think what you're looking for, and unless I'm misunderstanding, I think what you're specifically after is it's almost just around that next bend, if that makes sense.
All right.
Because I know where you're coming from. I during the review process, I forget if I said this on the pod, but there was a point where like I had this game for so long. It's like, why have I not fucking finished this yet? Because sometimes it's because I don't need to. It's like when I just feel like it, I can play it. I can play it when I feel like it. What a lovely experience to review a game and only play it when I feel like it. You know, what an honor almost. You know.
Yeah.
But then when I did get into what I would call endgame, I did like just sit there and do the whole thing. So I think there is definitely a timeline as such where there's a bit where it does dip a little bit, like I say, and then maybe I'm wrong to say it runs out of steam during the end. What I mean is like there is a dip. It picks up again, like I say, it's vague nonsense.
I will say, because you mentioned like the difficulty and stuff, like it is an easy game in one sense. I mean, I know you mentioned the Star Road,
the time trial stuff.
Trial stuff. What I was really disappointed, because those part-times are absolute arseholes.
I was worried about that during the review because like, am I that shit? But some of them are bastards, aren't they?
I was like, I've flawlessly run that,
and you're not even close half the time.
No, and I'm like I've got to improve that by 3 seconds. I'm like, bloody hell! But like, I think what annoyed me more than that with that is like the reward for doing it, because it's irrelevant. Unless you're gonna throw an end game twist on me, but at the time of doing it, it was like 50 coins. I'm like, I've got 3,000 of those.
Wait, are you not getting? What are you playing? Are you not playing it in wild mode? Are you not getting the other currency to upgrade your?
Yeah, get the stars, but you don't get those for the part times.
No, you just get them for doing it.
Yeah, so you just got.
That's what I want. I kind of wish it gave you like 2 or 3 of them if you.
Yeah, I was going to say even if it was like, here's a star fragment and you've got to collect 5 of them. That would mean I'd go back, because I'm like, right, I want all of the stars, because you know what I'm like. But I was like, I don't need 50 more coins when I've got 5,000 of them, especially when I can go and get 200 from the Overcooked minigame.
Again, Have you unlocked the other mini games at all, or any of them, the other ones?
I haven't. I've been focusing on the story, so I've unlocked.
You've unlocked, but okay, cool.
I've unlocked Fishing, Colosseum, and stuff. But
have you done the Colosseum?
No.
Okay, so I would also recommend that, because that gets you something that's quite useful.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But like I say, I'm when I say all these negative things, I'm thinking more like, for me, it's like an 8 out of 10, not a 9. Like, I'm not saying it's crap.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's crap. It looks really great. It sounds really great.
You play it with a smile on your face, don't you?
Yeah, and it's one of those I keep dipping in and out of it. Like, and I wouldn't do that if I was like, nah, it's boring.
There's some little touches in there I didn't really even touch on the review, but there's some. When you go into mouthful mode, like, I love the fact that whatever hat you were wearing, or still on the top of the car. I love some of the little bits of attention to detail. Like, I really do think this is a lovely looking game as well.
And I love some of the things like some of the Waddle Dee stuff is like pretty kind of like, okay, fine, whatever. But some of them it's just like, you get them for doing pretty smart stuff. They've
outthought you almost each time.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, cool. No, I'll go back and do that if you want me to. Fine. Like, I do like some of that, because you it's interesting. Some games where you don't have that mechanic, you'd probably miss some of the secrets that they've packed into some of the levels without like Googling it afterwards. Whereas just, one of the levels, I remember it went, go and find the secret island. I'm sorry, what? Like, okay,
there was one in a water area that I saw when I was doing a capture. I was like, I can actually see it. How the hell do I get there?
Yeah, and I was like, well, fine. I'm going to trawl every inch of this level until I find this secret island, and I found it. And I was like, I would have missed that, and it hadn't been, and you've obviously put that in there, and it's very cleverly sort of hidden, but well done, and I found it. So yeah, and it also means when you find them without being prompted, you feel like, I'm clever. But yeah, it's a lovely game. And I will talk to you when I've
finished
and hit that second bit. But
okay. Before we move on to listener correspondence, I want to just quickly very brief mention to Weird West, because that's out now as of the time of recording, and it's in Game Pass. I played a little bit of it on PS5. It's actually a PS4 game, so it's backwards compatible, but I've played on PS5, whatever. So I played on PS4. Really weird game. I mean, it's called Weird West, but it is a really weird game. Like, there's this RPG element to it, and there's story-based stuff that I think is like, I'm well up for this. This is really cool. I don't find it plays very well. Like, the shooting's really... I mean, it might be different on PC. It doesn't feel like it... Like, I had to, turn the sensitivity way up because I felt like there's so many enemies were coming at you from angles. So it's top-down, essentially, isometrical top-down. And so you're aiming with... You are physically aiming with the right stick. And you can't...
so I bet you'd prefer that with a mouse, is that what you're saying?
Well, I feel like I could just that with a mouse, whereas I have to actually physically swing my arc round.
Yeah.
But it takes ages
to go from
shooting there to there.
Yeah.
It feels like it doesn't snap or anything, and it feels like it's a physical...
Rather than in some shooters where you're like, you point a direction, it just changes.
Yeah, so it pulls it up there, it pulls it up there, yeah. And I feel like that's what it needs. And then I think you've got an excellent game, actually. I know that sounds really silly, but I do think the aiming in this game is a huge problem. A huge problem, because there's so much combat that I think it really does it a disservice. Like, I think what the writing, and it's a really interesting video game, and but yeah, like, if they could just somehow change it so that, like, the initial... So you could let go of the trigger or something and then flick top left and it would just go straight up there, and then top right and straight up there. It just needs that kind of twin stick shooter almost style aiming, and it doesn't have that. It is like a tank rotation almost on the top, and that's all I've really got to say about it, because it really put me off playing it, if I'm honest. Like, it really put me off. I was like, I quite like this. It's like there's more. I forget if it's five or six. I think it's 5 or 6 different stories. Like, when you finish the first one, you start the next one, and they're all completely different, and there's all really weird stuff going on. And it is Weird West. It's the Wild West, but weird, werewolves and shit. And I really like the idea. Like, I really like the idea. I actually, I'm not saying we'll be talking in December like, biggest disappointment, because it's not bad. But the aiming really put me off. Like, I would suggest people go and watch our video review. Around 3.5 minutes in, you can sort of see the aim mechanic in process. Yeah, and I think 3 minutes 30, I think it was, and I think that's kind of, if you can get, I don't know if it comes across or if it's because I had played it that I saw what I was talking about, if that makes sense. But it really put me off, and that's, I think, quite a shame, because I really like the idea. It's a little bit janky as well, Devolver published it, and Devolver have kind of become one of those publishers where you sort of expect, a bit like Annapurna or someone, or Humble. They're not like an EA or a Ubisoft, but they're one of those ones where you're like, well, if it's Annapurna, if it's Humble, usually. Yeah,
you always think with them that there's going to be something about this. This is going to be good.
Yeah, this will be, and it just, it's sort of, it's just missing something. And I think it's the combat. But yeah, that's Weird West. I'm sure Mick will talk about that more, and if he doesn't get a chance to on the pod, then there's a video review and a review and blah blah. We're going to move over now because we're going to try something a bit different, because Christopher Hyde is going to be our listener correspondent. He's the man with a plan. He's done some exercise and gone out on the streets to ask questions, and we're going to find out exactly what people have to say. Chris,
do you want to get one more and go for a hat trick?
No, that is genuinely my whole list gone.
Oh, okay.
I think I had about 15 and they've all been done.
If they've been done throughout the chat, I've missed quite a few of them then.
I didn't miss any.
You did definitely miss one, but I clocked Lyle's little smirk and I was like, he got it.
Oh, okay, good. So we'll do listener correspondence. So these a lot of these questions are from last week, so we promised we'd get to them, so that we are. So, Lyle, I'm going to come to you first with this first question.
Okay.
But we'll all have a go at answering it. So it's from McPoo on our Discord, and he says, if you got sucked into a tabletop fantasy role-playing game, Jumanji style, what would be your class and play style?
Okay. I always have sort of answers prepared for this kind of question, and what I would always pick when I'm making a character, if I think that character is going to be me, I always aim for something that I generally consider a little bit useless. So I'd go for like a dancer. I like the idea of me just being sort of like an idiot in the corner dancing around while everyone's doing like the hard work.
Just pointlessly in the corner, like you're gonna help Lyle, like.
And I'm just sort of there, like boogieing along, like loving life. Yeah.
I remember it reminds me actually when we had a very similar question just ages ago when Adam Carroll was on the pod, and he was like, "I'd just be a tank and stand at the back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were the white mage at the front.
Yeah. I was like, brilliant.
Still
well, thanks for that, mate. You just be like a tank and just stand there at the back while we all just take all the damage. Adam, I'm annoyed. I didn't want to come. You've kind of put me in this position, so I have to ask you before I give my answer. But I'm worried you're going to steal my answer. But whatever.
I'll be a black mage because you would want to be the bloody. No, do you know what? I'll just be. I always think of it in terms of Final Fantasy, so that if you're the white mage, you're the healer, and if you're the black mage, you're doing the fire attacks. But they have kind of merged those classes over the years a little bit, so you can just be a mage. So I'm just going to be like, so Lyle's the dancer from Octopath Traveler. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Just dancing away. I might buff you by accident, but I'm really in my own
You're
world.
not trying to. It's just a happy accident.
Boob tube.
Yep.
Jeez.
A Hawaiian boob tube.
Hawaiian boob tube. Yeah.
Do they exist? They ought to exist.
Probably.
Lyle, you think of that.
You can think of it. If he comes on next pod blowing one, that would be something. I don't know. I'd probably just be the generic soldier class at the front, just like the Jon Snow, shall we say, of the. That's how I think of myself.
Yeah.
No, more like Ned Stark, getting a bit older. I'd just be a soldier with I would like to have a couple of fire spells because you can do that in modern, tabletop games.
Yeah, normally you can mix it up. It's not quite as black and white, is it?
And you're clearly the healer, the white mage.
You know what? The first thing I always look for, and I looked for this in Tiny Tina as well, because I can tell you what I did. So
that's why I didn't pick that class, because I fucking knew you would.
First thing I do is go, right, which one of these classes is the healer? That's the first thing I do. I went through literally every character and went, which one's got a healing spell? Which one's got a healing spell? Because that's going to be mine. I was like, great, none of them have got a healing spell. No. Brilliant. I can't be that person. What's that?
You have now.
Have I?
You got that skull thing that heals you. It doesn't heal me, but it heals you.
Yeah.
So you have got a healing spell.
Normally I'm like, heals the party or whatever. That's what I want. Then if I can't have that, then I go mage. If I can't do that, then I'd probably go archer. So yeah, we need someone with a sword, because if Lyle's dancing and I'm doing long range,
I'll be the sword man. Yeah,
we need someone with a short range.
Can I have a bastard sword?
Attack. What's that?
Can I have the bastard sword?
You can have a bastard flaming sword.
We need Chris here because he'd call it a bastard sword, wouldn't he?
Bastard.
I'd call it a bastard sword.
Oh, that's fine. Because Lyle's
you think when I say bastard, it just sounds too posh.
I always think Lyle's accent is that region, but almost like the posh version.
It's like he's a posh Chris White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting
very weird,
bastard.
but I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Yeah. So another one from McPoo says, if you had to give each other, not yourselves, alliterative nicknames like Tiny Tina, what would they be?
Cocklips.
What's that? What's that?
Nothing. Oh, I didn't notice the alliterative part. That doesn't work.
You're just going to call us cocklips.
Oh no, that was just Chris. Sorry, Lyle. I would never call you that.
Oh,
call me cocklips, Chris.
Yeah, that works.
Well, Cupid's cocklips. No, that's not really a name, is it? Well, it's Tiny Tina, so it's like it's Tiny Tina. Oh Christ! Fucking hell! Do we really want to do this?
I mean, we have to.
All right. Well, has anyone got any? Because we've only had a week to think of them. So
see, this was frustrating because not only was the alliteration part what ruined it for me, because I missed that as well.
Yeah.
But also last week we had Mick here, and I was gonna say, in my house, Mick already has a nickname because we used to have. We've had more than one Mick on the site over time. When talking to my partner, we had like ways to designate the Micks. And Mick, to us is topless Mick, because he shared once a topless photo of him doing some cooking. So whenever we talk about Mick, it's topless Mick.
Have you ever seen you know,
I'm
the Ice
intrigued
Bucket
how you
Challenge?
split the Adams and Chris's now.
No, I don't want to know. Do you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that Mick did that topless as well, actually.
He loves getting his top off.
He loves getting them out.
Getting his out.
Not really answering the question at
Mick
all,
of the Minge, I would have called him, because like he's just the most red-blooded male.
Yeah.
Mingeful Mick's good. That's good.
That's
good. Probably the best we're going to come up with, lads. I'm not being funny.
Maybe we'll just leave it at that. That's fine. We did a question.
I mean, see, it's really ruined it because of the alliterative part. Because I had one for myself, but it's not alliterative. It's just a name.
I thought the alliterative would mean you'd just call me Cunty Chris.
Mine for myself was the cunt, because it's just clearly what I've got on the front of my head.
Like Adam the Cunt Cook.
Yeah, because it's clearly what I've got tattooed on my forehead. It must be. There's no other explanation for my life right now. But like, yeah, the alliterative part's tossed us right off, thrown us right off. Doesn't matter.
That's a pod title. Okay, we'll move on then. So, I have an itchy anus from Discord. Discord. Hang on, no, I don't have an itchy anus from Discord, to be clear.
How's that affect
my phone up with bum or
anything? It's the thread that gives me one.
Yeah. So the question is, times are hard and the video game fad is finally over.
Oh God!
Time to throw in the towel and find a new vocation.
Oh God!
Don't be sad. Don't be sad, Adam. You're in luck because we've just given birth to a brand new wrestling federation.
Fucking hell!
I know. So, dearest people of the pod, get creative. I want to hear what characters you'd create for yourselves, special moves and costumes.
It's the same question,
or a baddie.
What's that?
Is this not the same question we just had?
It's very differently themed.
I'd still record the cunt, but it would be on my chest this time. And
bonus points for intro music, catchphrases, and croc.
Wait, what? I'm not having croc anywhere near me if I'm going to have my nips out.
You just lose bonus points. If
I'll lose the bonus points if I keep my nipples. There's a phrase.
Yeah. I mean, that's a rule to live by. I'd say I'd always forego bonus points if I got to keep my nipples.
Keep my nipples? I'll keep my points
always.
I want my nips.
A rule I didn't think I'd have to utter, actually. It's just sort of one of those unwritten rules.
Can I just address something in the chat, in the live chat? Deadbeat Punk says, this is why he moved questions over to Hyde. I just want to say, I won. I know what you were trying to do. I won. I haven't got an itchy anus.
No, mine's fine.
Chris
has. Is that why you did it?
Yeah.
I'm so naive. Do you know that?
No, I'm sorry that you were the collateral damage.
It'd be really good if you did this. Oh
no, I actually do.
I have an itchy anus live on air.
No, I do, because I actually thought it's a nice way of doing both, but the timing worked beautifully. I'm sorry that you had to be collateral damage in this, is all I'm saying.
And is that why last week you were like, oh no, we best not do listener
No, last week was because I think if we'd have carried on any longer, I would have picked every piece of this PC up and just either set fire to or urinated on it, or both, actually. And that would have made for some... I mean, talk about crashing and burning out of the industry, that would have been... Come on, you're a wrestler. We're wrestlers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking the question, so I went to last time, so I'm going to you this time.
Okay, so I'm a wrestler.
You're a wrestler.
Really
what character have you created? And special moves, catchphrases, intro music.
I love the idea that this question's just so painful for you because of how much you dislike wrestling.
I think I'd just go to the local DIY shop and buy a really thick rope and just be done with it. I'm sorry. I don't want to do wrestling. That's how much I hate wrestling, and I hope Sean's watching this.
Just to be really clear, if anyone else would like to offer up questions for our listener correspondence, we do promise to answer them, with gusto and positivity in future.
Look, when I was a kid, I liked wrestling. I don't anymore. I'd probably just be like the new incarnation of Big Boss Man, right?
All right.
That's pretty good.
Which is basically not... I mean, he's smaller than I am, but like I'd be kind of a fat lad with a baton and a bit of an authority figure. But not really, because it's wrestling and not real. Well, no, look, Jesus Christ, I shouldn't have said that. That's the worst thing I've said. It's real. It's scripted, is what I mean.
Predetermined.
It's still they're athletes. So I'm not saying I'll take on a wrestler. So I'd probably be that, or I mean, what were the two big lads called? Tornado? No, what was it?
Oh,
Earthquake and
Typhoon, is it?
Typhoon, yeah. They weren't my favourites, but I mean, let's face it. I'm not fucking blind. I've got mirrors. I'm Earthquake at the moment, and I'm gonna try and be Big Boss Man in the future. I'll probably never get to Triple H,
goal.
but there we go.
Nice.
Thanks, Itchy Anus.
Lyle, bring us back.
I'm not going to just talk about how I'd end my life if this was the only option. So I think I'll be a little bit above the previous answer.
You don't hate wrestling though, like I do. So it's
no, yeah. I wrote about wrestling before I was here. Like I'm pretty high up on the wrestling. I feel like I'm not that far off a wrestling character. Like.
I've just clocked who you are, but I don't know whether to say it because I don't know if it's offensive or not.
You've got to say it now.
Lyle knows I love him,
next
right?
Week, he's offended.
Oh yeah,
Lyle knows I adore him, and this is in no way and I actually like this guy in wrestling. But with the shirts and stuff, I'm thinking Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Does that mean anything to you? I know you're not that much younger than me.
I don't.
No, that's
the shirts and that, and the kind of like. I mean, he had. Did he have wild hair? I can't remember.
He was
kind of crazy, full stop, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much just that, and just sort of a bit horrendous to look at.
I didn't think so at all. I thought he was fun. I see. That's why.
Oh yeah, he's a fun character. I think for me, I'd go all in on the like ridiculous Hawaiian, like tourist in Hawaii way of doing things. Like come out with a nice cocktail.
Jesus Christ! I thought for a minute.
Just well.
That's his Better Than Breath of the Wild Discord channel.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say my finishing move, because of the alcohol on my breath, would be called the Breath of the Lyle.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
You've really thought about it. I've thought about this a little bit, but you've really thought about it. That's good.
I thought that worked all right.
That's really good. I can't even. I can't take the piss. You win.
Hooray!
You win. Well, does he, Chris?
Well,
I feel like I've thought a little bit about this. I was like, look, okay, people take
the Breath of the Lyle.
I'm not going to be Breath of the Lyle, to be really clear. That's not happening. But like, I was like, okay, so it's Posh Chris, isn't it? So
the $1 Million Man kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good as well, though.
I've already got my catchphrase as well, haven't we? We all know what it is.
Yeah.
So I got so much money, I poop myself.
Yeah.
Is the catchphrase. But I have no idea about the finishing move. I didn't think that far.
Is your name's not just Posh Chris, surely?
Why not?
I don't know. I just feel like it needs a bit more gravitas. Like, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. See, I did watch wrestling. I genuinely did like it once. But like, you've got to be.
I mean, what would you call me then?
$1 Billion Shortcake. No,
$1 Billion Shortcake.
Yeah, and then Chris Hyde. So the $1 Billion Shortcake, Chris Hyde.
Okay.
He poos himself because he's got so much money. That's
so
your finisher.
Money.
That's your finisher.
What,
you just put a trowel and just squeeze out a Cleveland steamer.
And browning them up.
We both have quite smell-based finishers, really.
Yeah.
I mean, morning. What about
I was
going
to say something that I'm so glad I didn't. Oh my goodness.
Good. What about morning breath? Like I can be the breakfast boy, and I'll give my morning breath, which is like it can cut through bank vaults. It's like it's. We can and then we can do like a triple tag team thing where we're all just like the smelly boys.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
But that would have to be like late on in the canon where $1 Billion Shortcake's fallen on hard times, and he's like not got his money anymore, and he can't even poo himself. He's not going platinum anymore with his dance remix.
Yeah,
and we're the smelly boys.
I've not got money for my cocktails anymore, so we've all had to.
Do you deliberately pause between those?
So much of a pause between cock and tail.
Apparently, that's just how I say cocktails.
Yeah, that one was definitely on purpose.
Yeah,
but yeah, you know what? I'm Breath of the Lyle. That is Tim Vine-esque. That's top tier pun work.
All comes back.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, moving on then. So Infinite Granite, and this. Lyle, you're going to have to probably take a step back on this one because it's an Elden Ring question.
Sure.
So Adam, what's your favourite boss theme in Elden Ring?
Yes.
But where there is music.
I can't specifically pull any, if I'm honest with you. You know what? No, I can. I do like the swell of the fire giant fight. The as you go into the room, there's like almost a pipe.
Yeah.
I do remember. I mean, I probably remember it because I played it so often.
Yeah.
But it is quite, because it's almost like, can you not do the lovely music when I've got to go and get my head battered? You know,
Yeah.
I do like that theme. I do like the main theme as well. It is a pretty rousing.
The main
theme.
theme's good.
That's not a boss theme, I guess.
The one I remember is, I can't remember the name of the boss actually. It's the big deer in Sea River,
yes.
and there's another one as well. There's two. Those ones are really good, and it's Ancestral Guardian or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. But I remember that music then being pretty good. When the dragons kick off, that's always good as well. I think, like, because you literally go from nothing to like, oh god, there's a dragon. So that always has impact. But yeah, the big deer one for me.
Ancient Spirit in the chat.
Ancient Spirit.
Kyle
Thank you, Mick. I don't know if it's just going to be me that's going to have to answer the next question.
Try it. Ask Lyle. He might have one.
No, this is fair. So which monster do you want to return in Sunbreak? So Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak expansion. Mick's asking for a monster that isn't in Rise that you want to return in Sunbreak. Lyle.
I'd like there to be a Charizard in it, please.
Listen, when a man's in form, sometimes you just have to do that, don't you? Really, like when a man's in form, he's in form. I mean, that's good. That's better. I was just going to go yes again, but like no, you win again, Lyle.
It would be good though, wouldn't it? And it would make me play it.
Do you know what? If they did some sort of crossover where they brought monsters from other games in, I didn't genuinely think that would be cool. I'd love to fight like the serpent enemies in like Horizon Forbidden West. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they did do it in World, didn't they? They did an Aloy crossover.
Yeah, but that was kind of just like costumes because you could do because you could do a Hadouken as Ryu, couldn't you?
Mm.
But I think it was really weak, or was it really strong? I can't remember now. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't. I don't want to say much.
The one monster that I wanted in Rise that isn't in Rise, and so therefore, if they could bring it in, I'd love it. Would be. Do you remember in World? I think it's pronounced. Mick will tell me if I'm doing this wrong. Devil Joe.
Yeah.
The big sort of like green dragon damage monster. That's a absolute. I always loved that fight in previous games as well. So I always hoped that it was in Rise, but it isn't. So I'd be well up for that fight.
I mean, this is really going to be a difficult one, but you have got a decent memory. But do you remember when we were playing World years ago, and there was a monster that we were so close to beating, and then it just walked into the wall and just vanished off the face of the earth? It was huge, and it was either grey or black.
Was it definitely me? Because we only played World like once.
Okay, maybe it was Mick then. I did say you had the good memory. I just assumed it was you. Possibly not.
Yeah, I was very new to the
site maybe not.
World, so maybe it was Mick and Adam Carroll.
Mick says yes. Devil Joe was added as a free update to World, so there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want Sunbreak to be a 6 out of 10. And I can't answer this next question because I've not heard it. But I don't know if you have. Adam.
No one can. No, I kind of thought about this. So thoughts on the new Limp Bizkit album. I thought about it, but like again, it's a bit like wrestling. Like it had its time for me. Like I forget the name of him, but the guitarist in Limp Bizkit is actually great. Like he's really, really clever. Because to mix in, you think what like Linkin Park did. Like Limp Bizkit were doing some stuff like that long before. You know, back when Korn and Limp Bizkit were the biggest things in the world, and like he was really clever guitarist. And the way you would mix kind of the traditional stringed instruments with a lot of the techno stuff that was in there. But no, I haven't listened to it. I don't think I could. Isn't he a bit funny like Fred Durst now? Isn't he like Wes Borland is a guitarist mixed in chat. Isn't Fred Durst like pro Trump or something, or is he? I can't remember. But like I've got it in my head that he did something, and I just can't be asked, if I'm honest. Sorry, I would if it's not. Or did I listen to it and it was really short? Is it really short?
Because I've not listened to it. I've no idea.
To be honest. Like 15 seconds.
No, but like 15 to 20 minutes or something. Like, is it? I want to say.
Oh, really?
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But yeah, no, I'm afraid I haven't listened to it. So sorry.
Guessing you haven't either, Lyle?
No. If it ever goes into a video game, I might listen to it, and that's about as good as it's going to get.
Well, with Soundfall, you could put it in your own video game.
That's true.
God, it does all come back around.
It does. And then finally, what a question to finish on, really.
It's the only way to finish.
What's that?
It's the only way to finish, really.
The only way to finish. The real Captain Redemption from Discord asks, why does I have an itchy anus have an itchy anus? So why do we think Dr. Love has an itchy anus?
So when you add his name in like that sounds all sorts of...
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I know why he did. Or does. No, did. I know why he did. So I think it's unfair if I answer.
Conversation, then.
Yes, I think you did miss when the big reveal. That sounds
that sounds worse.
Uh-oh.
but I don't know if Lyle knows otherwise. So I think if he doesn't, you two can answer, and then I'll just tell you.
I can't remember it, so I'm just gonna say bad infection or something.
I'm gonna guess he's just a non-wiper.
A what?
Doesn't believe in wiping.
He doesn't believe in wiping. Just downloads and then just pulls his kegs up and walks off. Carries on with his day.
That's disgusting.
What, more disgusting than an infection?
Yeah.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I would.
I suppose getting an infection is a bit more passive, isn't it? Whereas you're deliberately choosing to walk around with
this is someone who he goes to the toilet, drops the kids off at the pool, and then just goes.
Yeah.
That's disgraceful.
Yeah.
That's animal.
Yeah.
Even
feral.
It's feral. Even dogs, if they do have a sort of dirty one, they rub themselves on the carpet and stuff.
Maybe he does that. Maybe he has a corner of the carpet that he does.
I mean, why I'm so outraged when I know the answer? Am
I close?
Were we right? Yeah.
No, you're a million miles away. So the idea is, don't you remember he used to change his name every week? He sent a podcast question in.
Yeah.
So you'd have to read out blah blah blah. So he changed it to get me to say that phrase on this podcast.
And then you changed it to me.
No, I didn't. That was genuinely just a really really unfortunate mistake and collateral damage. But no,
a happy accident.
Yeah, well, I can identify
At
with
least
that.
it's happy.
Yeah, it's not a happy ending; it's a happy accident. Yeah, but that's why he did it, and I suspect this will be the game now. This will be the game.
Go, especially if I've got to read it out.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't go too dark with it. But I suspect that this is the game now. It's each week.
Is his itchy anus not dark?
Next week is it going to be? I don't know.
Nearly got you then.
Yeah, no. Next week maybe he'll be like, his username will be like, I gave my wife. No, if I say it now, I've preemptively given him a win.
I have to read it out. So
yeah, that's careful. The thing. So I nearly said it then. I was going to say chlamydia, but there's a pause now, so I didn't say it. I just said that. Yeah, but that's listener correspondence. Chris, thank you very much for being our man on the street.
Thank you.
Puns.
Thank you.
Getting his egg society. No, I did that one. Shit. Okay. Yeah, if you did enjoy this podcast, you can go to patreon.com. I already said it, but I'm going to say it again because it's our podcast and I want to promote us because everyone who works here is cool and I like them. They're nice people. Smiley thumbs up. Go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Join our community. Join our Discord. I appreciate that I've been a little slack on there with the code giveaways of recent time. I'm going to give an explanation for why. Probably on there. Live stuff is the short version. And these guys all know. Like you can see who I'm pointing at, but the chaps on the podcast know. So go there. Go to Twitter. Go to Facebook. Where else are we? SoundCloud? No, we're not on there. Well, we might be. I can't remember. I probably did it at some point. Bebo, Facebook,
MySpace.
Snapchat, MySpace.
And I'll just say,
yes.
Don't be afraid. If you think, well, I've got a few opinions that are a little bit tasty, that not everyone will agree with, don't worry. You'll be in good company. So just come on board, say hello.
You will.
I would also add, if you're a little bit tired of the kind of over-serious drama sometimes that goes on in gaming, we have a laugh. All of us and the people in our Discord are there because they really like games, and we all kind of just get along because we've all kind of got the same sort of outlook. So, at the end of the day, if you drop £1 or $1, that's not that much, even in today's horrendous world and market. You might find you meet some really cool people, because I have, so if I
Lyle's
can.
there too, so,
And I am also there.
Do you know what? He's supposed to be the nice one. And he... Yeah.
I'm still fuming from the hunk conversation, to be honest.
It's taken a lot. That's why I've been a bit lax. I've been affected by that quite badly. Thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Thank you, Internet, for not crapping out and this podcast working. And thank you to anyone who watched us live, watching us later in the future, and we haven't met you yet. I hope we do get to meet you. Come and say hello. We'll see you next week, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.